of the prayer of fear. أحدها, the first one, أن يكون العدو في غير جهة القبلة. So let's say you're in combat and the enemy is not in the direction of the qibla. So we're fighting this way. The enemy's over there and we're fighting this way. The qibla is that way. So they're not in the direction of the qibla. So what do we do? فيفرقهم الإمام فرقتين. So the imam makes two divisions within the army. فرقة تقف في وجه العدو. A group of them, a division will stand in front of the enemy, continuously fighting or continuously defending the area. وفرقة خلفه فيصلي بالفرقة التي خلفه ركعة. And then he has one division behind him. So a division is fighting the enemy that's that way, and then he stands, the imam stands like this, and the other division stands behind him. And he prays one rak'ah, literally one rak'ah. He makes, after sujood, he stands up and he stays standing up. The people behind him, ثم تتم لنفسها وتمضي إلى وجه العدو. And then the people who are behind him continue the prayer on their own. And the imam stays standing up. Alright, so he stays upright. When they're finished, when the guys behind him are finished, they go and they're in front of the enemy. And the people who were in front, the division that was in front of the enemy, they come and the imam is still standing up. Correct? He's still standing up. He hasn't sat down. He's waiting for them to come. وتأتي الطائفة الأخرى, the other group come, فيصلي بها ركعة وتتم لنفسها ويسلم بها. And then he prays a rak'ah with them. He finishes, because they're only praying 2 rak'ah, because it's during war. You don't pray all 4, you pray 2. Right? You pray, it's qasr. So you're praying qasr of dhuhr maybe. So he prays 1 rak'ah, he stands up. Then they pray that after him, the rak'ah that they have. They go fight, he's still standing up. They come, when they're all behind him, he continues his 2nd rak'ah. He does taslim, and then the group stands up and finishes their rak'ah that they didn't finish yet. Right? In that way, all the army has prayed behind him the 2 rak'ahs that they need to pray. Have you understood that, or did I lose you somewhere along the way? All right. So this is where the enemy is. All right. We're standing over here. We're the blue guys. Let's be the blue guys. All right. We're the blue guys. We're fighting back. Now the compass is telling us that this is where the Kaaba is. Right? The Kaaba is that way. So what the Imam does is the Imam stands up over here. Right? There. Right? So he stands and he has a division over here and a division over here. Okay? He prays 1 rak'ah. When he stands up for the 2nd rak'ah, he stays standing up. The people behind him continue the 2nd rak'ah on their own. They do salam and they come and they switch. And there's a switch that happens. They come here and these guys come stand behind him. Now he's still standing up in his 2nd rak'ah. He's still standing up. Once they're all there behind him, he continues his 2nd rak'ah. He only has to pray 2 because it's qasr, right? So when he's finished his 2nd rak'ah, he does taslim. Now the guys who are now behind him, how many rak'ah have they prayed? 1. So they stand up and continue their 2nd rak'ah on their own. So every group continues 1 rak'ah on their own and prays 1 rak'ah with the imam.
How will he know that
No, let him know. So he's standing there, he finds out. Like they'll let him know we're all here, and then he continues the prayer. Whoever's standing there. So that's if it's in the direction, if the enemy is not in the direction of the qibla. The second, with thani, of course it's not very important. Inshallah you guys never have to go through this. But so it's a piece of information. I don't anticipate any of you will be performing this. Like please tell me that you're not hoping to perform this prayer. But if needed, then this is how it's done. والثاني أن يكون في جهة القبلة. The second situation is if the imam is if the enemy is in the direction of the qibla. So the qibla is this way. Right? So it's actually in the same jihah of the qibla. Right? فيصفهم الإمام صفين. So the imam makes 2 rows. ويحرم بهم. And then he does ihram, takbir, with all of them behind him. فإذا سجد معه أحد الصفين. When he makes sujood, when he goes his sujood, he continues the rak'ah. One of the 2 lines actually continues sujood with him. ووقف الصف الآخر يحرسهم فإذا رفع سجدوا ولحقوه. So the Imam stands and they stand two lines. When he does the first rak'ah, this line goes with him for that first rak'ah, right? Then he stands up, they continue on their own. Once they're done, the second group continues with him. So one group is standing to guard the other group until the other group does. The first group does the first rak'ah with him, the same thing. But here there's no swap. No one's moving. It's all in the same place. لما يرفع فإذا رفع سجدوا ولحقوه, and this is what exists in the Quran. When you read إذا كنت فيهم فأقمت لهم الصلاة فلتقم طائفة منهم معك. So if you recite the ayah in Surah An-Nisa, and this is what it's talking about, because it is considering praying with the enemy in the direction of the Qibla. The hadith narrated by Ibn Abbas in Bukhari, he says, قام النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وقام الناس معه فكبر وكبروا معه وركع ناس منهم. So he made takbir, they all made takbir. Everyone makes takbir, they all do. وركع ناس منهم. When he makes ruku', they all make, not all of them make ruku', just one line of them make ruku', but they all make takbir. Like both lines make takbir at the same time. They're all starting prayer. However, only one line will continue the first rak'ah with the Imam, with the Prophet ﷺ. وَرَكَعَ نَاسٌ مِّنْهُمْ ثُمَّ سَجَدَ وَسَجَدُوا مَعَهُ ثُمَّ قَامَ لِلثَّانِيَةِ. And then he gets up for the second rak'ah. فَقَامَ الَّذِينَ سَجَدُوا وَحَرَّسُوا لِإِخْوَانِهِمْ وَأَتَتِ الطَّائِفَةُ الْأُخْرَى فَرَكَعُوا وَسَجَدُوا مَعَهُ وَالنَّاسُ كُلُّهُمْ فِي صَلَاةٍ وَلَكِنْ يَحْرُسُ بَعْضُهُم بَعْضًا. So what happens is, all of them make takbir. He prays the first rak'ah, they pray the first rak'ah with him. Then he stands up. The people who did the first rak'ah, they stand and they stay standing, and the other group prays the rak'ah with him. So one group is guarding the other, but they're all in prayer, meaning everyone is doing prayer at the same time. However, they're doing the movements in different timings, so that they're guarding one another.
How are they guarding if they're praying?
So this group prays the first rak'ah with the Imam, and this group just stays standing there, waiting until the first group comes up from the second rak'ah. And when they come up, that group stays standing, and then they pray the second rak'ah with the Imam. So they've all prayed one rak'ah with the Imam, and then they continue the one by themselves.
Whatever is not praying.
We'll defend. So two lines towards the Imam. One line is praying. They're all during prayer, but one is standing in guard, and the other one is actually making the movements. And then when they're done, they continue the movement. They're all in prayer at the same time. So it's not the difference between this one and the first one. Is the first one they're not all in prayer. Some of them are fighting, some of them are praying, and then they switch. But now they're all in prayer. They're all actually praying at the same time. But not all of them are following the Imam making the movement. Some of them are, one line is going to, and the other line is not going to. Yes. It's still just two. We're still just talking about the qasr. Okay, so that's how it happens during. Because you have to pray even during war. So when you say I couldn't pray because I was at school today, you should laugh at yourself. Because you're supposed to clear even if you're during a war. Even during war you have to pray. So if you're at school is a very lame excuse not to pray salah. Right, ya shabab who are on their phones? So going to school and not praying dhuhr at school and praying dhuhr after 2:30 is actually very sinful. You're supposed to pray even during wartime. Like during wartime, there's a way to do it where you pray. You're not allowed to say, well, I can't pray. You have to pray. So if you're at school or university or at work, to say, well, I couldn't pray because I was working is a very lame excuse. You find 5 minutes and you go do Salat al-Dhuhr on time, and then you continue your day. And you should not be ashamed of that. You should not be embarrassed of that. And it's haram for you not to do it. You can't do qada. You can't do qada. And the excuse for you doing qada is that I didn't have time, or I was at school, or I had a class, or any of that. You have to take 5 minutes and pray your prayer. That is a given. That's a given within your day. Okay. The third way to do it, with the third type, or the third, أن يكون في شدة الخوف والتحام الحرب. For the situation to be extremely fearful and to be the middle of combat. So people are literally going at each other with swords. There's no way. It's not a time where you can just stand and guard. It's actually in the middle of fight, and the fight goes on between two prayers. Meaning there was no time to actually stop for a moment and pray, or guard and pray. You couldn't stop for a second. فَيُصَلِّي كَيْفَ أَمْكَنَهُ. فَيُصَلِّي كَيْفَ أَمْكَنَهُ. Everyone prays however they can pray. راجلا أو راكبا, whether walking or on your horse or in your vehicle. مستقبل القبلة وغير مستقبل لها. Whether you're facing the qibla or you're not facing the qibla. In the Quran, فإن خفتم فرجالا أو ركبانا. If you're extremely afraid, then whether you can pray, whether walking, whether standing, whether on your vehicle, on your horse. فإذا أمنتم فاذكروا الله كما علمكم ما لم تكونوا تعلمون. And when times are less fearful, then pray properly. But if it's really hard, so this is not possible, like for one line to guard the other, or it's the opposite way of the qibla, so one group does it and the other group comes back. If none of these things are possible, it's a very intense moment, then pray however you need to pray. As you're fighting, you're doing ihram, you're reciting Surah al-Fatiha, you're just moving half movements, you're just moving with your eyes, you're just imagining, you're just moving tasbihat as you're going through. Yes, you pray, but you pray. Now that's fiqh, right? That's fiqh. Spiritually, this tells you something that you all need to understand very clearly. There is never a situation where it's okay for you not to pray your prayer, ever. As long as your mind is conscious, you will pray. Unless you are out of conscious, you have to salli. There's no situation. If you are in the middle of combat, you've been fighting with your sword for 3 hours, and Dhuhr is going to go out, Allahu Akbar, and you start reading, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Qul Allahu Ahad, Allahu Akbar, Subhana Rabbi al-A'la, Allahu Akbar, Sami Allahu liman hamida. You do what you need to do to pray your prayer. Whether you're towards the qibla, whether you're on your horse, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you have to pray. Now that's fiqh, and you probably never go into that situation. But what you learn from it is there's no situation where it's okay for you to miss a prayer, ever. If during war you can't miss a prayer, then when are you allowed to miss a prayer? So a surgeon is doing an amaliyah, huh? And sometimes you go for 18, 19 hours, huh? So he can pray just standing there with the simplest without still doing the thing, reading the Fatiha with his eye. You have to pray. Yeah, it takes 4 or 5 minutes. You do it, and then do you have to make up for their prayers after war? No, you don't have to. After war, no. Like the war prayers, no. But there are other situations. Like the surgeon would probably have to make up his prayer. But war, no. The prayer you pray during war is fine. There are other opinions, but for the majority of them, you don't have to make up for the prayers you pray during war. Yes.
When you said facing the qibla, it's just one rakat each alternating?
Yeah, alternating. But they're all doing ihram at the beginning. They all make ihram at the same time, right? But just one of them, they alternate in terms of movements. Okay, so go online and listen to the time where we talked about the timings of prayer. All right, go into detail of it because it has a lot. Yes. Yeah. Dhuhr? No, it's Asr. That's the difference. Yeah, so Asr is different. Yeah. So it's okay. Asr, the difference is like 45 minutes. That's the difference. So it doesn't matter. It's not a problem. If you're Hanafi, you can pray a bit later. That's okay. Yes.
Second case, like the imam will play the first rakat and the first row will play the first rakat with them, and then when he stands up again, the imam, the back row is going to wait until the first row
yep.
hold the rakat on their own.
Yep.
When they make this scene, and then they're going to tell the imam in front of them, okay, we're ready.
Yep.
And then they're going to do two.
Yeah. And then they do with him one more because he did one. Yeah. But now the group that's finished is standing to guard the group that's not finished, right? So they're all in prayer at the same time. But that's the only difference. That's the main difference. Yes.
And even if they're not traveling,
Yeah, even if they're not traveling, it's harb. Okay.
So is the imam going to be in the front line, basically?
Basically, yeah. Basically, but this is not combat. This is like a time where it's more of a. It's more so war is it's not like you're fighting physically all the time. There are times where there's a raid and then there's times where it's just kind of holding your position and it's strategic. So during the time where you're holding position, it's more of a strategic time, a strategic planning time. That's when you pray. But the third type of prayer is if there's no strategic planning time. So you're just going at it all day long. During prayer times, and you pray however you can pray. Like even if just with your eyes or with your mind, you have to pray, but you have to do your prayers. You cannot lose them. Yes. Yeah, you have to. They can fight. You can be fighting. You can be on your horse. You can be towards the qibla. You can be not towards the qibla. You can be walking. You can be laying down. You can be whatever it is. Doesn't make a difference. Yeah. Well, that's what the point of the third. Doesn't matter. Yeah. فضمن الحرب, if it's في شدة الخوف, as the Imam said, والتحام الحرب, it doesn't matter whether you're towards the qibla, you're not towards the qibla, whether you're on a horse, whether you're walking, you're fighting, it doesn't matter. You pray however you need to pray, right? But that is a very specific situation where there's no time. You can't tell the person who is coming at you with the sword to say, wait, I need to pray dhuhr, please. And then you pray, and he'll wait for you. No, he's not going to wait for you to pray dhuhr. He'll just wait for you to make sujood, just so that the nahr will be quicker, basically. But that's it. You have to continuously defend yourself and then make sujood, make salah in any way that you can. Okay. وَيَحْرُمُ. Now there's a part that is kind of attached to the part of salah, and this is regarding wearing of certain things. وَيَحْرُمُ عَلَى الرِّجَالِ لُبْسُ الْحَرِيرِ وَالتَّخَتُّمُ بِالذَّهَبِ. And it is haram for men to wear pure silk or to have gold on them, to put gold. Anything that is gold, whether it's takhattum is having rings of gold, or even what is it called? What's the silsal called? A necklace or chains of gold. It's haram for men. وَتَحِلُّ وَيَحِلُّ لِلنِّسَاء, and it's halal for women. وَقَلِيلُ الذَّهَبِ وَكَثِيرُهُ فِي التَّحْرِيمِ سَوَاء. And it doesn't matter whether it's a little gold or a lot of gold. It's haram either way. It doesn't make a difference for men. And is there any ayat that talk about that tahrim? No, this is specifically a tahrim that exists in the sunnah, in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Meaning he ﷺ gave a number of hadith that talked about how harir and dhahab for men is haram. Why? Well, because it falls under the basic view that Islam has of the roles that different genders, that both genders play, or either genders play. As a man, you should not be trying to continuously obtain adornments. You're not trying to look flashy. You're not trying to wear things that make you seem softer. And no, as a man you're supposed to. That's why men have a rigid look. They have a lihya. You don't care about these things. It bothers me when I see young people caring about details of clothing. I need to wear this and this. It has to be that. And it has to look like this, and it has to be. Why? This is not how men function. You don't care about these things. This is the problems of this society that we live in. The society and the time that we live in. Unfortunately, this is being spread amongst men, where they care about fashion too much, and they have to go, and it doesn't look in a certain way. It's not. You have a certain colors, and it's not that type of. It wasn't made by that company that I can't. Men should not care for these things. It is normal for ladies to like to buy, to take care of their clothing a bit more than men. Men should be a bit more rigid, rugged. They should look in it a bit differently. They should be a bit more. Sorry. Yeah, look, wearing nice clothing is fine. Looking good is that's. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about caring about details and then buying things that are adornments like harir and dhahab, wearing pure silk and gold. These are things that are specific, these show a level of extravagance and softness that men should not be a part of. All right. وإذا كان بعض الثوب إبريسما أو إبريسما, and there's different ways of pronouncing this word. وبعضه قطنا أو كتانا جاز لبسه ما لم يكن الإبريسم غالبا. So the word ibraisam is a type of silk. It's a certain type of silk, but it's still silk. It's just a word that they use for silk. If you're wearing a piece of clothing that some of it is silk and some of it is cotton or linen, isn't that the word? جاز لبسه, then you can wear that. ما لم يكن الإبريسم غالبا, as long as the silk that you're wearing is not more than the other material. So if you're wearing something 50-50, then you're good. And if you're wearing something that is 60% cotton and then 40% silk, that's fine as well. So that certainly happens in ties. You'll find that in ties. Ties, you'll find that they'll have a certain percentage of silk in them. It's fine as long as it's not pure silk. Anything that's not pure silk for the Shafi'i is fine. I'm not going to the difference of opinions with the madhab in this one. We'll just leave that inshallah when we study the text. But take for the Shafi'i say and stick to that, because that's هو الأولى وهو الأحوط. It's safer. And as a man, you shouldn't be trying to wear pure silk and gold anyway. Silver is fine. It's not gold. It's not haram because there's no nas to say that it's haram. We do have to explain to our youngsters that you're a man, look like one, dress like one, and act like one. Don't let the way society today functions to try to pull you away from that and give you something that give you a different way of looking at things. But it's gold and silk. That's not. Those are the things that the Prophet ﷺ nassa alayha, meaning he could have said fidda if he wanted to, he could have said diamonds if he wanted to, but he didn't. So we don't know. يعني. So we just stick to what he said, and he talked about silk, pure silk, and he talked about gold. All right. ويلزم في الميت, we're going to move on to صلاة الجنازة, and when someone dies. ويلزم في الميت أربعة أشياء, and there are 4 things that are wajib when someone dies. يلزم meaning it's lazim, it has to happen. غسله وتكفينه والصلاة عليه ودفنه. 4 things. You have to do ghusl for him. You have to make sure that this mayyit goes through religious purification or physical purification. وتكفينه, and he needs to be put in kafan, meaning he has to be dressed or put in certain materials that are similar to clothing. What is the translation, Emmanuel, takfeen? I'm not sure what the word is for. Well, shrouding. Okay, so he has to go through ghusl, he has to be shrouded. والصلاة عليه, you do salat al-janazah for him. وَدَفْنُهُ, needs to be buried. These 4 things are the haqq of the mayyit. When someone dies, what he is owed by the Muslim community for these 4 things to be done for him. And that's why today, it's very problematic that you need to buy graves. And buying grave spots is actually very expensive and whatnot. And in a Muslim society, that is not something you have to worry about. You don't worry about what's going to happen to you after you die, besides whether you're going to Jahannam or Jannah. Besides that, you don't have to worry about what's going to happen after you die, because it's the Muslim society's responsibility to do these 4 things for you. And when you think about it, that's actually a really, it's a safe way of looking at it. It's actually a very healthy way of doing things. I don't think people, elderly, should be worrying whether they have enough money for the funeral and have money for that's ridiculous. You're dead. Tell us you're dead. You left. You're not here anymore. Why do you care? Why you shouldn't have to care about these things? As Muslims, we should take care of our deceased. I think that's a fair statement. With
is that not a right to follow their will?
Yeah, well, that's if they have the will, right? If they actually have a will, because many people may not have a will. And what happens if the will is contradictory to Islamic teachings? Then you don't follow that will, right? So it's a bit more detailed when we talk about the will. Yeah. واثنان لا يغسلان ولا يصلى عليهما. All right. And there are 2 types of people who you do not do ghusl for them, and you do not pray salat al-janazah for. So there's 4 things you do. You have to do ghusl, you have to shroud them, you have to put the white clothing, white material around them. Then you have to do salah alayhi, you have to do the prayer, and then you have to bury them. Certain people you just shroud and bury. You don't ghusl and you don't do salah alayhi. For the Shafi'iyya at least. الشهيد في معركة المشركين. So the martyr in a war against mushrikeen. And for the Shafi'iyya, there's some difference of opinion within the madhab regarding the shaheed if he's fighting a war against non-mushrikeen, so if he's fighting against Muslims for some reason, or if he's a shaheed, there's shaheed al-dunya and there's shaheed al-dunya wal-akhirah. There's a shaheed who is considered a martyr of both worlds, this world and the next, and there are certain people who are considered only martyrs of the next world, meaning someone who maybe is hit by a car or drowns in the sea. Those are martyrs of the hereafter. They're not martyrs of this world. So there's a lot of details here. I'm not going to get into most of them, any of them to be honest. I'm just going to talk about what the matn explained. I'll give you 2 exceptions that are important in the madhab that you should know, and then we'll study this more inshallah when we move on in secondary texts. والسقط عفوا الذي لم يستهل صارخا. والسقط الذي لم يستهل صارخا. So a fetus that comes out of the womb, لم يستهل صارخا, does not come out yelling or crying, meaning it's born dead. It's not born with any life in it. For the Shafi'iyya, these 2 types of people will not get 2 things. They won't get ghusl and they won't get salah alayhi. They will be shrouded and they will be buried, but those 2 things won't happen. For the Hanafiyya, the martyr of a battle will not be given ghusl, but they will be prayed upon. They will be done salat al-janazah. Only for the Hanafiyya. So specifically for the Hanafiyya, they say that the shaheed of a battle will not be given ghusl, but there will be salat al-janazah for that person. And this is a very known difference of opinions among scholars because of the different evidence that exists. There's a lot of different hadith that kind of contradict sometimes if not understood properly. So the different scholars have different opinions on whether you do salat al-janazah on a shaheed or not. The Hanafiyya say yes, everyone else says no. Imam Ahmad says you do salat al-janazah even on a fetus that is born dead, if it is born after the 4th month, because that's when the spirit is given to the fetus, right? After 120 days, the fetus receives a spirit or a soul. So if it's given birth given birth to after the end of the fourth month, then even if it is born a stillbirth, you still do janazah. If only Imam Ahmad sees that, the Jumhur say if it's born, it doesn't come out screaming, it doesn't come out crying, then it's not alive when it was born, then there's no salat al-janazah for it. So those are the two types that don't get salat al-janazah or ghusl. وَيُغَسَّلُ الْمَيِّتُ وِتْرًا. And the mayyit, the deceased, will be given ghusl in an odd number of times. So you of course there's a way to do ghusl. I'm not going to explain it, but we can maybe have a kind of a workshop for that one day if you end up, because you should do it once in your life at least. You should do ghusl for a mayyit at least once. You will learn a lot. It will be a very rich experience for you, especially if you knew the person somehow. It'll be more beneficial for you from a remembrance point of view than 50 khutbahs and 100 halaqah. If you just do ghusl for someone that you know at a certain point, there's a way to do it, but you have to do it an odd number of times. The Prophet ﷺ said 3 or 5 in the hadith. We can do it once, 3, 5 or 7 or 9 times, whatever. But you start from the head and you move on down to the end of the body. There's a lot of details about it, but that's what the matn is explaining here. وَيَكُونُ فِي أَوَّلِ غُسْلِهِ سِدْرٌ وَفِي آخِرِهِ شَيْءٌ مِّن كَافُورٍ. So, and at the beginning of his ghusl, what's sidr? What is the translation of sidr? It's a pine. Is it pine? Is sidr a pine? Is that what it is? And kafur, there are two substances that have a nice scent to them that the Prophet ﷺ told in one of the hadith to use one at the beginning of the ghusl and one at the end of the ghusl. I'm not sure exactly what they are in English. Sidr at the beginning and kafur at the end. I think sidr is pine. And kafur, I'm not sure what kafur is, but if you can find it for me, that would be great. Maybe cedar, I don't know. I'm not sure. Emmanuel is not. It's okay. Okay. It's alright. Whenever you go back to it, yeah.
Oh, sorry, it's over here. It says that the deceased is washed and on the time.
Yeah.
Loat tree is used.
What is it?
Loat tree, like L-O-T.
Yeah.
Loat tree. Okay, so loat. Yeah.
In the first washing, and a bit of camphor, C-A-M-P-H-O-R.
Yeah.
last.
Okay, so those are the two things that were Now what is the common denominators? They have a very nice scent and they're cleansing material. So the Prophet ﷺ told use things that will give a nice scent, because when you're carrying the mayyit, you don't want any bad scents to be to come out for the people who are doing it. So we use sidr and kafur just to keep the scent of the deceased, but for the time that is going to be needed for him to be buried, to keep it fresh, inshallah, to keep the corpse fresh. All right. ويكفن في ثلاثة أثواب بيض, and he is shrouded in three layers of white material, of white dressings. ليس فيها قميص ولا عمامة. It's not. You don't dress the deceased up in a suit. It's just white material, and it's put on 3 times. There's no turban. There's no shirt. There's no pants. It's just the mayyit being kind of malfoof, laf, which is he's kind of surrounded by the material that he's in. So it's three times in white material. There's no actual clothing, and there's no turbans or anything. ويكبر عليه 4 تكبيرات, and 4 takbir are done for the mayyit. Of course, this is explaining Salat al-Janazah. So Salat al-Janazah is going to be explained here. This is the way that the Shafi'iyya and the Hanabila do it. The Hanafi and the Maliki have a bit of a different way of doing it in terms of what is said after the takbirat. So not all of them have the exact same thing that needs to be said. But for the Shafi'i and the Hanabila, at least, it's the same, and it's a stronger opinion and has more evidence. So يقرأ الفاتحة بعد الأولى. So the Imam does 4 takbirat, Allahu Akbar, and everyone Allahu Akbar, and they all read Surah Al-Fatiha sirran. They all read it under their breath. ثم ويصلي على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بعد الثانية, and then the second time Allahu Akbar, اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد, كما صلاة الإبراهيمية that you say within your prayers. ويدعو للميت بعد الثالثة, and then Allahu Akbar, and you make dua for the deceased. Now the matn here has a long, like there was a long description of ad'iyah for the Salat al-Istisqa. There's a long description of ad'iyah that the Imam al-Shafi'i compiled in his early works. There's not really specific evidence to say that the Prophet ﷺ said those, but these are different ad'iyah that he put together. I'll read them for you quickly. Allahumma hadha abduka wa ibnu abdika, oh Allah, this is your servant and the son of your servant. Kharaja min rawhi dunya wa sa'atiha, he has left the ease of this world and the beauty of this world. Wa mahbubuhu wa ahibba'uhu fiha, and his loved ones and the ones who love him, he left them within it. Ila dhulmatil qabri wa ma huwa laqihi, and he left it to the darkness of the grave and everything that is waiting for him in the hereafter. كان يشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت وحدك لا شريك لك. This person used to bear witness that there is no God but you. وأن محمدا عبدك ورسولك, and that Muhammad is your messenger and your servant. وأنت أعلم به منا, and you know more about him than we know about him. اللهم إنه نزل بك وأنت خير منزول به. Oh Allah, he has come to you, he is your guest and you are the best host. وأنت خير منزول به. وأصبح فقيرا إلى رحمتك وأنت غني عن عذابه, and he is in dear need of your mercy and you are not in need of his punishment, and you are rich from needing his punishment. وقد جئناك راغبين إليك شفعاء له. We have come to you with the desire that you allow us to intercede on his behalf. اللهم إن كان محسنا فزد في إحسانه. Oh Allah, if he has done well, then increase his hasanat, increase the excellence that he increase his reward for his excellence that he has shown in his life. وإن كان مسيئا فتجاوز عنه, and if he is someone who has sinned and transgressed, then oh Allah, show him mercy and forgiveness. ولقه برحمتك رضاك وقه فتنة القبر وعذابه, and show him your acceptance and your rida with your mercy, Ya Rabb. وقه فتنة القبر وعذابه, and protect him from the fitna of the grave and the punishment of the grave. وافسح له في قبره, and make sure his grave is open and wide for him. وجاف الأرض عن جنبيه, and keep the earth away from his body so he's comfortable where he is. ولقه برحمتك الأمن من عذابك, and show him with your mercy the safety from your punishment. حتى تبعثه آمنا إلى جنتك, until you resurrect him and send him into your paradise. وبرحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين, we ask you with your mercy, you are the most merciful of all mercifuls. So that is the dua that you can find. It's a very beautiful dua. I would advise all of you to try to memorize parts of it. And when someone passes away, make some of these ad'iyah for those who pass away. And in Arabic you'll find it to be there's a lot of barakah in it. And then after the fourth takbirah, ويقول في الرابعة اللهم لا تحرمنا أجره ولا تفتنا بعده واغفر لنا وله. After the fourth one, you say the same dua. We're all supposed to say the same dua after the fourth takbirah. Oh Allah, do not deprive us from the ajr of praying for this man. وَلَا تَفْتِنَّا بَعْدَهُ, and do not make life fitna after he left us. I mean, don't fill the world with fitna and we lose our deen after he leaves us. وَاغْفِرْ لَنَا وَلَدَهُ, and show forgiveness to him and show forgiveness for us. And this is this is the known dua that you say after the fourth takbirah. And this is what the Shafiee and the Hanabila agree to. Now again, after the third takbirah, I read you a long dua. Do you have to say that long dua? What do you have to say after the third takbirah? Any dua for the mayyit. You can just stand there and say Allahumma arhamhu, Allahumma ghfir lahu, Allahumma arhamhu, Allahumma ghfir lahu, whatever you want. Anything for the mayyit, anything for the deceased. Say to the deceased something you would like people to say for you when you finally kick the bucket. But make dua for them. But Imam Shafi'i put a long example of ad'iyah you can choose during the time. So after the fourth, you say Allahumma لا تحرمنا أجره ولا تفتنا بعده واغفر لنا وله. So memorize that dua if you need to memorize it. That's what you say after the fourth. So Salat al-Janazah has 4 takbir. So the first, after the first, you read al-Fatiha. After the second, you say الصلوات الإبراهيمية. اللهم صل على محمد. Third, dua for the deceased. And the fourth, you say this dua specifically. Allahumma la tahrimna ajrah wa la taftinna ba'dah waghfir lana walah. So this is how you do Salat al-Janazah. The Hanafi and the Malikiyya don't specify that you have to do Fatiha. They just talk about doing ad'iyah, just make dua for the mayyit. So they don't specify having to do Fatiha or having to do Salat al-Ibrahimiyya. They have a bit different way of looking at Salat al-Janazah. But the Shafi'i and the Hanabila agree to this, and this is the stronger opinion regarding the evidence. But if someone stands and doesn't know what to say, as long as you're making dua for the deceased, then you're good. What happens if you're late? There's one thing. So you come in, they're praying janazah, and he's in the third takbirah, and you catch the third takbirah with him. What do you do? No, to Tim. So you continue. How many takbirahs? So let's say I come, the imam was doing his third takbirah. Allahu Akbar. So he's going to start making dua. And you do Allahu Akbar. This is your first takbirah. What do you do after your first takbirah? You read Fatiha. He does his fourth takbirah. He's reading this, you're doing this. He says Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. You do your third takbirah, your fourth takbirah, and then you say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Okay? So that's how...
Is this prayer supposed to benefit the dead person or the people praying?
both. So both of them...
And we read our voice and the hand during...
Yeah. Like Eid. Just like Salat al-Eid. ويسلم بعد الرابعة, and then he does one taslim after the fourth takbir. After he's done, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Only the Hanafiya do taslimatan. So the Hanafiya specifically goes Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, but the rest only do one taslim. Yes. No, so this is unified for everyone. And then this here is based, yeah, so it depends on who died. Yeah. But here's the same thing, because this is talking about a nafs, or the shakhs, the person, kind of just open, regardless of who he is, how old he is, just make that dua. But here you can specify it for the person based on gender and age. Abdullah, and then I'll come back to Brother Emmanuel.
What's the reasoning behind not praying for the...
Okay, that's a long debate. I'll give you a quick idea. Is that they'll come Yawm al-Qiyamah with the blood. Yani one of the things that happens is they come Yawm al-Qiyamah with their wounds, with their blood the way they were, and that is something that will honor them Yawm al-Qiyamah, because you were doing something. It's all fun and games until your life is on the line. This is all easy stuff. I'm talking about when life is on the line, it's a whole different game. When you're standing there, you could be killed, you could actually die, you could lose a limb, you could leave this world. Death is scary for anyone, regardless. I know every man has done it before us, and every man who comes will do it. It's a thing that we will all do, all die, but it's something that we dread and we do not like to do. It's something that and it's scary. So it's all fun and games until you're asked to offer your life. So those who do are honored by that. In Yawm al-Qiyamah they come with all that, but that mess of what's happened to them, they come Yawm al-Qiyamah and they're honored because of it. So that's one way of looking at it. Again, there's a difference. It's just a long one. So where do we bury them exactly? We're going to leave that inshallah for a different...
For the sunnah and the kafur, like the two fragrances, you would have to wash them at least 3 times if you're going to do one at the beginning or the end. So one shouldn't be the minimum unless you have no fragrance. Because you said you do a minimum of 1, but if you're going to do the fragrances, at least do 3.
Yeah.
Right? And then the thing that you mentioned was the taslim. So which Mazahib had said one taslim for...
Everyone, just the Hanafiya said 2. Only the Hanafiya. Okay. ويدفن في لحد مستقبل القبلة ويسل من قبل رأسه برفق. And then he's buried in a grave towards the Qibla. ويسل من قبل رأسه برفق. And he's entered head first into the grave. So someone's standing in there, you don't put him feet first, head first, and then slowly put him, and he's on his side and he's facing towards the Qibla. ويقول الذي يلحده, and the person who is putting him in his grave will say بسم الله وعلى ملة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. He will say in the name of Allah, following the way of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. على جنبه towards the Qibla. ويضجع في القبر بعد أن يعمق قامة وبسطة. And then he is laid down in his grave after the grave has been widened and made deep and wide enough for him. So he has to be underground enough. So you have to make sure you dig deep enough and wide enough so the person can lay there properly within the grave. Again, it's something that everyone here should try at some point. When someone passes away, go down, stand in the grave for a moment. Put the guy down. Watch it. Let it all kind of... it was actually, by the way, it was a sunnah, not a prophetic sunnah, but a known tradition in Muslim world, that guys like 15, 16 would have to do it at least 4 or 5 times. They would be forced to come and do ghusl and to do dafn. Why? Because it's a very maturing experience, because you will kind of snap out of a lot of trivial issues in life once you're actually you're dealing with death to that in that proximity. And you're actually seeing that this person is being put in their grave. And I think it's a very healthy thing to do. Yeah.
When you say he has to go head first, that means you can't just like lower somebody like level.
You can, but it's just these are just recommendations. Yeah. So if he's lowered, it's no problem. Yeah. ويسطح القبر, and the qabr is made مسطح, is made يعني level to the earth. The Jamhur say يسنم, I mean there's a little hump. The Jamhur, only the Shafi'iyya say that it has to be totally flat. The Jamhur say there's a little hump so that it's known that this is a grave. ولا يبنى عليه, and you don't build a building or you don't make a big monument for it. ولا يجصص, and you don't bring in different materials and like concrete or anything to actually build. And that is something that unfortunately a lot of Muslim world countries do it quite often. And you go and you find a grave that is as big as a house. It's a huge grave, and people, there's all these things, and it's just a big graves aren't supposed to be like that. The Prophet ﷺ, specifically after conquering Mecca and conquering the Arab world, he sent Ali ibn Abi Talib and Khalid ibn Walid and said that you bring down every big grave. Every grave that has a big monument built on it, just bring it down to the ground, make it normal. They're graves. These people are dead. They can't do anything for you.
Right now over there, like.
Yeah, so it's allowed for a shibr up. You can build up to like maybe 10, 15 centimeters. For the Prophet ﷺ, it's not actually up, it's just there's like they need to have what they have there. If they didn't have what they had there, people would be fighting and pushing and shoving and doing a lot of crazy stuff. So what they have around the Prophet ﷺ's graves and Abu Bakr and Umar are extremely important that they have them there, because without that people will be a bit too aggressive regarding what they think they should be doing around graves. Around graves, you should be very quiet, respectful. You should make dua. You should stand there and suck in, kind of let it all kind of sink in. Sink in, stand there, and just understand that this person was once just like you, walking around. He came here probably one day to this graveyard and stood there and made dua. He was thinking about what his next meal was going to be, and now he's under the ground. And one day that will be exactly what's going to happen to you. And some other guy will be standing up there, and you'll be down there, and you'll be looking up at him and saying, "Dude, snap out of it," and he'll just walk away, not snapping out of it. And you'll be like, I wish I could go back. And when I did that, I snapped out of it and I started focusing properly. Because subhanAllah, the person in the grave is the most wise person that exists. Because he knows exactly, he's so fresh, he knows what he should have been doing and he didn't. And he sees the people who aren't doing it, and it's very hard. Because he wishes he could let you know how important it is for you to focus on your life. And subhanAllah, it's just a very, we don't do that enough. I'm not saying that we should be living in graveyards, but you should do it every couple of weeks, or you should go visit if you have the deceased loved ones. Go and make dua for them. You stand there, you take the ibrah, you take be reminded by by death. ولا بأس بالبكاء على الميت, and there's no shame in crying for the deceased. So if someone died, there's no shame in crying. من غير نوح ولا شق جيب, without نوح. نوح is something that it's something that Arabs used to do. They would, if you've seen it in an Arabic country or even Middle East, it's a very shameful thing, where they start screaming and yelling and saying, "Oh this and oh that, and he was such great. He didn't didn't get to do this, and I wish he was able to finish that, and I wish I was instead of him." And it's just it turns into something that it's no longer grief. It becomes a parade. It becomes more of a show, and there's a lot of kufr that goes into that. It usually leads to people saying things that are he has objections to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's just very, so Noah is wailing and screaming and that. وشق جيب, this is called the jayb, right? This is the jayb, not this is not the jayb. It's called jayb in slang Arabic, but this is the jayb, right? They would pull, like they would rip their jayb. So imagine someone died and someone's screaming and hitting himself and ripping his clothes and wailing. No, that's not. There's no problem crying for the deceased. Grieve as much as you want. Just do it respectfully. Do it without that. But the Arabs did that all the time. The Prophet ﷺ came to a society that cherished that. Actually, there were people you would pay money to come and do it for you when someone died in your family. They were called nawahat. You would pay them money, and we have them in Syria. You can actually, there's like 5 women. They come and they just sit there and and they scream, and then you pay them and they go home. And the person, they don't even know the guy who died. They have no idea who this person is. They never liked him. And that's haram. And that يُعَذَّبُ الْمَيِّتُ بِذَلِكَ. It actually could cause the deceased to be punished for it if he somehow contributed in that, being okay. So it's something that we should pay attention to. But of course, grieving for the deceased is fine. The Prophet ﷺ did it for all the people who died in his life. He grieved for them and he cried, but nothing like that. Okay. وَيُعَزَّ أَهْلُهُ إلى ثلاثة أيام من دفنه. And the ta'ziyah, the condolences, can happen for 3 days after the person is been buried. So after you bury the deceased, up to 3 days they can have azah. After 3 days, it's not accepted anymore, except for someone who is traveling. If you were traveling when this person was deceased and you came back, you can give your condolences to the person who lost the loved one. But there cannot be a setting for condolences for people to come except for 3 days after someone passes away. وَلَا يُدْفَنُ اثْنَانِ فِي قَبْرٍ إِلَّا لِحَاجَةٍ. And two people should not be put in one grave except for unless there's a necessity for it, unless there's a darura, meaning there's not enough grave spaces, or the person was too poor to afford it, or whatever the problem is, and you can put two people in one grave. They do that quite often, specifically in old graves. So let's say the person died in 1850. There's nothing left inside. No one knows this person anymore. So you can put an extra person there if there's not enough space, like within the graveyard, or this person can't afford it and the family's okay with it. And of course there's a lot of different, there's a lot of rulings regarding whether it's okay to put two people or not, and how and whatnot. We're not going to get into it, but just understand that it's acceptable if there's a darura, if there's a haja, if there's a need, then you can put two people in one grave. Usually they're not going to be people who died recently. Like the person you're putting in, you're not putting with someone who died last week. You're going to put someone who died a number of years ago, if not decades ago, where there's really nothing left in there. Probably in the grave. After a couple of years, there's really nothing left. Not even bones. Everything is completely. Sometimes not. Sometimes there's nothing at all. Okay. You'll be resurrected even if there's nothing left of you. Don't worry. There was a guy who was people who are what is it called, cremated. And then they take the sun, they throw it into the ocean, and they'll come back. It's not a problem. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I have a few miscellaneous points before we go. So I'm going to talk about this. So listen to these rulings. I just came up with a few ideas. I just jotted them down because I wanted to make sure I didn't forget. These are things I came to my mind that may be important for you guys to know about. Yes.
What's the proper thing to say to somebody whose family is not?
So anything that shows condolences is good. Now what is more common is أعظم الله أجرك. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you the best of reward. That is not, there's no specific hadith sahih for that. There are certain, what is hadith sahih? The Prophet ﷺ would say, لِلَّهِ مَا أَخَذْ وَلَهُ مَا أَعْطَى وَكُلُّ شَيْءٍ عِنْدَهُ بِأَجَلٍ مُسَمَّى. What was taken is owned by Allah, what was given is owned by Allah, and everything has a time where it ends. فَاصْبِرْ وَاحْتَسِبْ. Meaning show perseverance and say my ajr is going to be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I accept the ajr. That's what the Prophet ﷺ used to say to people who passed away. But anything that shows condolences is fine, really. There's no strict, it's not a very strict issue. As long as you're saying something that makes the person feel muwasa, that you're making them feel better, you're making them, you're strengthening them, allowing them to kind of hold on better. That's the point. All right. الصلاة بغير العربية. Can you pray in a different language besides Arabic? All right. So فقط الحنفية. The Hanafiya say that you can. Everyone else says no. The Shafi'iyya جوز الشافعي الترجمة ترجمة الفاتحة. Imam Shafi'i accepted the translation of Surah Al-Fatiha if the person cannot recite Arabic. The Hanafiya say that you can pray in a different language, but if you don't, of course, this is all. If you cannot say the Arabic words, obviously. So if you know how to read Fatiha in Arabic and you know how to make dua, then you say it in Arabic, obviously. But if you don't, let's say there's someone who accepted Islam just today, they're a convert and they have no idea how to say anything in Arabic at all. They don't have enough time to memorize Fatiha today. Then for the Shafi'iyya, they can translate the Fatiha, and for the Hanafiyya, they can do the whole prayer in a different language, and that's not a problem. So just those are ahkam and rulings regarding that. Yeah, I'm talking about fard and sunnah and everything. At-takbir. Yeah, so they're okay with the tarjama of Surah Al-Fatiha, and that's what the Mughni al-Muhtaj has in it anyways.
Then you would just do Al-Tawar for the other parts that you didn't know what to do.
Yeah, and takbir and tashahhud is jaiz mutlaqan عند الحنفية in a different language. So when it comes to takbir and tashahhud, for the Hanafiya, you can do it in another language even if you know Arabic. So jaiz mutlaqan, it's acceptable mutlaqan for them, but only for them. That's specific for the Hanafiya. When it comes to dua, that was something I thought was important. When it comes to making dua, can you make dua in a different language? For the Hanafi and the Malikiya, jaiz, it is acceptable. And al-ma'thur minhu for the Shafi'i and Hanabila is acceptable in a different language as well. What's ma'thur minhu? Meaning you're making dua that is taken from the dua of the Prophet ﷺ specifically. So you can make it in a different language. But the Hanafi and the Maliki are okay with you making dua within prayer in a different language, and I hold and I carry that opinion heavily. I think it's very important. I think during your prayer, you should learn Arabic, obviously. You should learn to make dua in Arabic. But in the meantime, make dua in whatever language you know how to make dua in. And of course, I'm talking about fard as well, not just about sunnah. All these are much more lenient in sunnah anyways. We're talking about fard specifically. In sunnah, you can do much more with no problems. Even the Shafi'i and the Hanabila don't have a problem with it. But we're talking about during fard when you're making sujood, you say Subhana Rabbi al-A'la. You should make dua in Arabic, but if you don't know, the Hanafi and the Maliki are okay with you making it in a different language, and the Shafi'i and the Hanabi are okay if the dua that you're making in English is a dua taken from the Prophet ﷺ or from the Quran. Dua bil ma'thur, something you were told to make dua, I mean to say exactly. If you're going to make something up, then only the Hanafi and Maliki are okay with you making it in a different language. So I thought that was important to...
It literally has to be dua.
Yeah, for Shafi'i and Hanabi it has to be masnood dua ma'thur. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so the same thing for janazah prayer. This is all for, if it's okay for fard, it's okay for janazah because fard is highly ranked higher. The final thing, these are just issues of different languages that you asked me about last time regarding the khutbah al-Jum'ah. So the interesting part is the Jumhur are not okay with it being given in any other language but Arabic, and they're only okay with tarjamatiha wal afdal ba'da as-salah, that you can translate the khutbah and preferably after the salah, after you're done, not during the prayer, not during the khutbah itself. And that is what the Jumhur of the ulama have talked about, except the Hanafiya. Since you're some people are like, oh, the Hanafiya. Well, the Hanafiya are the ones who said that you can give the khutbah in a different language. So I appreciate the fact that they actually looked at it that way. And they're not alone in that. Majma' al-Fiqh al-Islami today, meaning the gathering of the Ummah, the scholars of the Ummah for fiqh, jurisprudence, in the last 10 years have taken the Hanafi opinion regarding khutbah al-Jum'ah, and they've accepted giving khutbah al-Jum'ah in a completely different language. They have recommended that the Imam do the arkan of the khutbah for the Shafi'i's arkan of the khutbah in Arabic, which is, if you remember going back to the khutbah al-Jum'ah, there are a number of arkan, which is al-hamd, الصلاة على رسول الله, reading the ayah of the Quran, making dua. The arkan of the khutbah, please try to memorize them, so if you give a khutbah one day you know what you need to say. So those ones to be done in Arabic, and everything else can be done in whatever language the people understand. But that is actually the ruling regarding the khutbah. Yeah, so I talked about that last time, and yeah, that's fine. For the Malikiya, that's fine. It's not only the Malikiya have a problem with only the Malikiya say that the person who prays should be the one who leads, unless there's a darura or there's something and he can't do it. But besides that, the Jumhur have no problem with it. Yes.
I've had some people tell me something. Oh, you can't have your fingers crossed.
Give me examples. Yeah. So again, it's not agreed upon amongst the madhahib regarding. So some of them say you can't sit bil iqa'. Yeah, like that. So yeah, and again, there's not enough evidence to support that. Meaning that there's evidence to support that he said not to do that. There's also evidence to support that people did that during his time. He never said anything. And a lot of the scholars like Ibrahim al-Nakha'i, and Hamad, they all did that during salah. So these things are not too much. There's not enough evidence for us to actually go into detail about generating rulings. I think the general rule of thumb is that during Salat al-Jum'ah, don't do anything that will cause you to be distracted or to cause you to fall asleep. So when it came to putting your fingers together, it was more like playing around with your knuckles, right? So just don't do that, because you're supposed to be listening to the Imam. And when you do ihtiba, sorry, it's called ihtiba, not qa'a. So ihtiba, when you do that, that's sometimes it's more likely for you to kind of just doze off and stay in that place. So it's more based on what it's fine. No. Again, there's really not much evidence. There's not enough evidence to support any of these things. As long as what there is evidence to support, like what the rule of thumb is that you don't do anything during the khutbah al-Jum'ah to distract yourself, to distract others, or for you to fall asleep. Like it's actually makruh al-Jum'ah is actually fall asleep during the khutbah. كرهوا ذلك لكن لا بأس به. It's unrecommended, but you can do it. Like it's makruh for someone to say salam to someone during Jum'ah and for someone to answer him. But if it's done, then it's not going to destroy you. It's not going to take away the ajr of the khutbah. Actually, I used to pray in a masjid in a place called Mu'addamiyya in Sham, and the imam was his name was what was his name? Subhanallah, great man. Al-Hariri, Sheikh Al-Hariri, something Al-Hariri. Subhanallah. Anyways, a great guy. One of the best, the most impressive khatib I've ever listened to in my life. Like I've never seen someone who is more fasih, who is more powerful, who is more directed in his khutbahs. He spoke for an hour. He was to say when he would start at the khutbah, this is an hour khutbah. You don't like an hour, go to the masjid right over here. It's called al-Khattab, it's 15 minutes. And he would tell before the khutbah, please go if you don't want to stay for an hour. He would instruct, do not stay here if you're not coming for the, and his masjid was full. Jami' al-Zaytuna, it used to be called. It was full, both levels, people outside on the street, clogging up the intersection. We would say, it's an hour khutbah, do not stay if you're not good for an hour. Like the masjid, Sheikh Abu Fulan gives it 15 minutes right over there. Right over there. So go, people would get up and go sometimes because they were new, they didn't know, right? And then he would get on the on the minbar, and he would no paper, nothing, just he would just rock your world, just kind of really. And I remember sometimes he would be given a khutbah and someone would fall asleep, and he had a wooden minbar, right? And he would bang on it. Abu Fulan, get up, go sleep at home. قوم نام في بيتك يا Abu Fulan. And عندي هنا ما في نوم. And he would wake people, he would call them out like old men, and do not sleep here. Yeah, in the middle of the khutbah, he would look at someone sleeping, he would call them out, get up, wake up or go home, right? And so no one, it was a very intense experience coming to this guy's khutbah, but he was very, very good. Like his khutbahs are on recorded. One day maybe I used to have them like on CDs, I don't know if I have them anymore, but he was a very, very strong speaker. And subhanAllah, I've always thought that's how a khutbah should be, because you would come there for an hour, you would be like this, you wouldn't even dare look down, just listening to this guy talk, and you would walk away with a multiple number of things to think about, in terms of your personal development and your life and whatnot. And I've always thought that's how khutbahs should be. Wallahu alam. Yalla. Next time, inshallah, we will revise the chapter of salah. Yes. Yeah. So the Mas al-Hasad, there's difference of opinion regarding what was meant by it. But yes, anything distracting. So if you're playing around during khutbah, playing with your phone, even telling people to keep talking is all, will take away from the رد السلام مكروه لكن جائز. مكروه لكن جائز. نعم مكروه لكن جائز. لأنه فرض. رد السلام فرض. صح؟ وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. جزاكم الله خير.